Good afternoon and welcome back, everyone. This next session is really about, like I said before, walking the talk, putting your money where your mouth is, and all these things about real action. I'm going to introduce you to Nadia Calviño, the Spanish Minister of Economy and Digital Transformation. She was announced in 2018, and between 2014 and 18, she was the Director General of Budget of the European Commission. And lately, she has just launched the plan called España Puede. I don't know if I pronounced this correctly. If not, Nadia, you can fill me in a second. With very concrete targets and KPIs for how to take Spain to the next level of the digital transformation. Targets have been set for connectivity, for skills, and a range of other areas. And we have learned that this plan has been highly involving other sectors, both the public sector and the private sector, and not least a lot of partners and stakeholders that has a high level of knowledge in digital. So saying the proof is in the pudding, and welcome Nadia to you, and thank you so much for joining us here today. And I mean, launching this fantastic plan, I think you were the first country that actually launched how to invest this big COVID recovery fund and how to dedicate these funding for digital. What is in the Spanish digital strategy, and how is the national roadmaps, how was it developed?
Thank you very much, Cecilia. It's a real pleasure to be with you, even if it is on the screen. I hope that very soon we are able to see each other again in Brussels or, wherever. Yes, indeed. I mean, we have been working for many years in the area of digital. Actually, for the last 20 years, the digital strategy in Spain has been mainly driven by public and private investment in infrastructures, in connectivity. This explains why Spain is the leading country in broadband deployment in Europe. The broadband network in Spain is larger and deeper, let's say, than Germany, France, Italy, and the UK together. And that's thanks to this focus on connectivity and infrastructure investment. But we realize that when we look at the DESI indicators, Spain is very strong in connectivity, also in digital administration. We're around average in digital enterprises, and we're below average in digital skills. And that's why we thought we needed a very structured approach to digitalization. And the pandemic has only accelerated the process and brought back to the forefront our strengths, but also our challenges ahead. And that's why we have been working intensively in this strategy. We presented last July the agenda España Digital 2025, so Digital Spain 2025. We have been publishing 6 strategic plans in the key areas for development and pushing this digital effort in the coming years. And we are working in finalizing the Spanish recovery plan, where we hope to devote 1/3 of public investment in the coming years. That's going to be more than 20 billion to the digital transformation agenda. So indeed, we're putting digitalization very high on our agenda, and we're putting our money where our mouth is, definitely.
So what are the areas of investment in this plan? I mean, where will you focus? And I mean, when you are looking back, what would be kind of the things that you in 23 or 25 that you would like to achieve?
Indeed, our approach is very much starting from your question, which is where are we strong, where are we weaker, and what are the top priorities for us in the coming years? And the starting point, and I know a lot of discussion has been going around this subject today in the sessions, the starting point has to be digital skills of the population. And that's an area where Spain is not leading in Europe. And we want to be one of the leading countries there too. So we have just published a digital skills plan. Tomorrow I will be convening, or on Friday I will be chairing the first digital skills hub with the main private operators, the different ministries, the different players, because we want to really push ahead and ensure that there's a minimum level for the whole population, that we are upgrading and reskilling our workers, and that we are also developing experts in these areas that can provide the necessary workforce for the deployment of these investments in the coming years. Then we also have a plan for SME digitalization. This economic tissue in Spain is mostly SMEs, so it is key to get them to be digital if we want the productivity to grow and their size also to grow. The third plan is on digitalization of public administrations. Then we have a connectivity plan, a 5G deployment plan, 2 billion euros of public investment foreseen, and finally a national strategy for artificial intelligence with 600 million euros in investment. Maybe the largest plan in the short run and the most important from the macroeconomic point of view is the SME digitalization plan, because we intend to invest more than 5 billion in getting our SMEs to become digital in the next years. So all in all, 6 strategic plans. We will also work in the area of audiovisual production. Spain is one of the leading countries in the world. It's the leading one in Spanish productions, but we also want to be leading in audiovisual production more broadly, which is not strictly digital, but very, very directly connected to these. And so we are really translating the general objectives into strategic plans and supporting public-private cooperation and partnership to drive them in the coming months and years.
Thank you so much. So do you see that digital and the digital funds, can they actually help the society in becoming more inclusive? And in that case, how?
Yes, I think indeed that one of the areas that has become very clear due to the pandemic is not only the importance of having strong digital infrastructures to allow teleworking, etc., but also the digital skills and digital tools are key for students, for families, so that they are able to continue to be educated, that they're able to access to information, and they're able to be ready for today's reality, which is more and more digital. We also have seen that for companies, there is a gap that comes from digitalization. If they want to be to have online trading, if they want to be present, at the global level, and that is why we are investing in these areas as a priority. But we have also seen that territorial connectivity is key if we want to have all our citizens throughout the country being able to access digital health, digital education, also to have their opportunities to develop their lives and their working projects. So closing the gender gap is, of course, another top priority for all of us, because the jobs of the future will be digital, and we need to avoid that the gender gap is becoming even wider if women are not active in these new jobs, in these new enterprises, in this future. And so I think that having a very clear and strongly supported digital strategy is key if we want the digitalization process to be focused on human beings, protect our rights, and ensure that we make the digitalization contributes to making a better world for all of us and for our children.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, this European Recovery Fund, it's quite special. First of all, it's rare that it has to be spent fast, right? Really quickly. What are the challenges of this new instrument? I mean, will it be easy to find the projects, or will you be able to kind of mobilize this big investment, in this short time frame?
You're absolutely right. I think that the key feature of the new recovery fund is the idea that it is a counter-cyclical instrument, and therefore we need to front load investments and reforms so that we kickstart growth already in 2021, and that we initiate the transformation process to have a more sustainable growth in the mid-run. And that requires us to be extremely agile for the implementation. With a view to this, last year in December, we passed executive legislation to streamline and accelerate public investment in Spain. We also adopted the budget for 2021, and we already integrated 27 billion in public investment connected to the European Recovery Plan, not only in the area of digitalization, also the green transition, social and territorial cohesion, etc. And so we have the financing and we have also the legal tools to do it. And what we want is to start very fast with designing the instruments and the most efficient tools so as to deploy these detailed plans in the area of digitalization. We're sharing the information and in constant contact with companies, with experts from the different areas. And I hope that in the course of 2021, we're going to put all these plans on track. And we will also undertake important reforms, because the recovery plan is not only investments, it's also structural reforms. And in the 30 components that we're working on for the Spanish plan, we are going to have coherent packages that will have a transformative impact, not only in the short run, but on a permanent basis. We want to work also, we are working actually on a charter of digital rights. We're working on reform of our telecoms legislation, audiovisual legislation, to align them to the European directives, but also to try to accelerate and make this process of transformation as dynamic and as efficient as possible.
Great assurance to see one of the countries that has been hit very hard by the COVID crisis, so of course Spain, having a very proactive kind of strategy towards how to solve the problems. I mean, what is the post-COVID recovery strategy for Spain, and is there kind of a next phase?
Well, I certainly hope that we will very soon be in the next phase, because right now Europe is being hit very hard by the third wave of the pandemic. Spain was hit very hard last spring with the first wave. The economic and social impact of the second and third waves are clearly smaller. To a great extent, I think, thanks to the very fast reaction we had at national level, the coordinated reaction at European level, and also the expectations and the financial support provided by the European funds and mechanisms and the ECB action in sovereign debt markets. Our coordinated action since last March, I think, explains to a great extent that so far we have been able to protect a basis for recovery. Our economic and social tissue is being protected, and we see that in the second part of last year, growth already started to recover, and we can have a basis if we continue to preserve this situation until we finish the third wave. Now, our priorities for this year and for the coming weeks are very clear. First and foremost, fight the pandemic. Deploy vaccination as fast as possible and let us move to the next phase as soon as possible. Secondly, continue to protect companies, workers, family income, so as to ensure that the economy is strong enough and resilient enough to be able to profit from the strong recovery we expect in the second part of the year. Thirdly, implement the national budget for 2021, which already integrates, as I said a moment ago, a very large volume of public investments to also mobilize private investments. And fourthly, adopt and implement as fast as possible the recovery plan. We're not awaiting the approval and the formal processes in Europe. We already are starting to implement. We have already launched a number of calls for proposals and calls for interest in different areas. I hope that soon we will start with the public implementation formal process, and that all the dynamics that I see have been unleashed in Spain, in that private companies are coming to us with projects, with investments, with ideas. There's a lot of creativity and dynamism around us, and I hope that this positive energy will be channeled so that the second part of the year already shows a very strong recovery, which puts us, as I said before, on the right track for the coming future.
Thank you so much. Maybe one last question. So if now we have seen that we have 12 plans that are public now for the recovery funds. Spain was first, and we must say that we have highlighted Spain with having a plan that is detailed, targeted, clear targets, clear budgets, also with a very ambitious number, with over a third of the budget going towards digital investment. So I mean, what's your secret? And if you were to give all the other countries an advice, or tell them, a few advice on how to advance and make a really, really good plan, what would that be?
Well, I wouldn't dare to give anybody any advice, Cecilia. I know that the Commission representatives have been speaking today, and I think they are the best placed to guide and to support all of us. We are having a very intensive cooperation with the Commission, which is being very helpful to guide us. We started working last summer. The moment the European Council agreed on the recovery plan, we started to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because to Spain, this is absolutely essential. The amount of investments that will be channeled to Spain are the most relevant. We're talking about 70 billion in transfers and 70 more billion in credit between now and 2026. We need to ensure that the transfers are implemented by 2023. So we absolutely have no second to lose. And we were aware of this last July, and we started working flat out to try to have ready the best possible plan, with a very strong commitment to investments, but also to reforms. And that is also, I think, an important element. If we want to make sure that this growth, which is driven by large investment effort, is not then lost, and 3 years from now we find ourselves with the same problems that we have been suffering from for decades now. And that is why I think the emphasis on reforms should also be an important element of our recovery plan. We have been integrating regions, social partners, private companies in a quite extensive governance, so as to make sure that the whole of the country is with us. There's still a lot of work ahead until we have formal presentation and adoption by the European institutions. But I think we're all aware the time is of the essence, that we need to kickstart the recovery already in 2021 in Europe, and that we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to borrow together, to invest together in our future. And green and digital are the two twin transitions that we absolutely have to undertake if we want to have a more sustainable and inclusive growth in the future.
Well, thank you for being, you are too modest. I would say some of the points that was highlighted in the way that you planned it's concrete, it's targeted, it has concrete goals, it has involved multiple stakeholders in the governance of actually making this plan, and it was fast, it was speedy, it was timely, and it was a real discussion on how to rethink and not only to rebuild the economy. And I think this is at least also why I would like to round off by mentioning that we have something called an award, a Master of Digital Award. And this year, this prize actually goes to you. And I read out loud here, the Master of Digital Award is an award that Digital Europe has created in the honor of those who have made a huge contribution to building a stronger digital Europe in the last 12 months. And this is, we will publish our Hall of Fame with the Masters of Digital this year. Nadia, it's given to you, and it's given to you because of the Spanish National Spending Plan on post-COVID recovery. And it is also given to you due to your role in DG Budget in the past, and really bringing digital onto the agenda of how to invest in Europe. You are no longer here in Brussels, maybe soon again, but right now not. But your famous reputation of being a brilliant thinker in economy and scaling economy and investment is still here with us. So it is my honor to give this prize to you. You have built a plan that will recruit 20,000 cybersecurity experts and plan to give 80% of the population digital training. It smashes the 20% target, and it has been public for a month. And not least, it has involved Spanish associations and stakeholders very closely in the process. So congratulations with the prize, Nadia, the Master of Digital 2021. May we see your prize?
Yes, I'm very honored. I'm very flattered and a bit blushing. You cannot see me, but thanks very much for this very, very kind presentation, Cecilia. Thanks very much for the jury for giving me this Master of Digital award. I am very honored. I take it not so much as a personal token, but rather as a recognition of the intense effort that has been done by Spain in the public sector and in the private sector to be one of the leading countries of the digital transformation of Europe. And I hope that we can continue to play a role of driving this process forward in the coming years. I will keep this prize very close to my heart and in a very important position in my office. Very honored. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Nadia, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your thought leadership and not least for your concrete action. We wish Spain, we wish you all the best on the COVID recovery, and we send you all the best energy here from Digital Europe. Thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations. Hello and welcome back, everyone. And with this award given to a very special lady with a heart in digital and a heart in the recovery of the economy of her people. So looking back at the day, I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you learned. I hope that it has given you new inspiration on how to solve the digital challenges and grab the digital opportunities, that we will stand here looking back in 2025 at a stronger digital Europe. And thank you to all the great speakers and contributors, and not least participants that have stayed here today. Let me just look a little bit back on what happened today and what will happen tomorrow, because we will continue this conference again tomorrow. We have had Charles Michel, the President of the European Council, calling us out to make Europe a digital powerhouse. He has also highlighted that strategic autonomy for the EU. To me, this means a resilient, more autonomy, less dependency. It's about being able to make choices in an open global environment, and it has nothing to do with protection. On the contrary. We have seen also a panel on digital recovery, a great focus on digital skills, pan-European SME initiatives, boosting the economy through skills, connectivities, and data. We had the EU ambassador to the US talking about how the new US administration also means a revival of the US-EU relationship and how we work on digital, and how fundamental that is for the stability of the two economies. How we will work together on data privacy, data flows, export controls on dual-use technologies, and many other areas. Reminding you that 90% of the businesses in Europe transfer data and 85% to the US. We have listened to the panel of Future of Industries, and we've heard that there's a great commitment to have green and industrial growth data on European level. Now we also need to get the national plans and the national commitment to work together on these big challenges in place. We have heard Kirsten say, money should be invested, not just spent. Also, we have heard Tadieu, the CEO of Gaia X, talking about how we should double the amount of companies actually utilizing cloud, but also data, and how Gaia X will be the place where we discuss the data spaces and make sure that we test the regulations on, and they are fit for the new digital agenda and the new digital growth. On the panel on data, we decided together to put a goal to have the data economy increase from 3 to 6% before 2025. And we pointed out 3 areas of collaboration. As Christiana said, it's about people and businesses, it's about clear rules and governance on data, and it's also about enough investment for digital infrastructure, data spaces, and computing power. Then we heard Börje Ekholm from Ericsson being very clear that we are leading on 5G technologies, we are leading on innovation, but we are not using it in Europe. We're lacking behind on 5G immensely in Europe, in spite of actually being world champions in this area. And that we should actually look at short-term spendings on the recovery plan for rollout of 5G, harmonization of the European spectrum rules, and allow telecom operators to merge. Digitally enlightened, we heard about the digital skills. Without connectivity and without digital skills and digital equality and inclusion, there will be no digitalization and digital upgrade of the European society. And lastly, we saw a leader who has really taken digital to the heart of the financial stability of her country, looking at inclusion, looking at connectivity, skills, and how to boost the digitalization of the backbone of the European economy, the SMEs. And really taken this to the heart of the recovery of Spain's economy, to great inspiration for other leaders in Europe. Tomorrow, we will hear Hilary Mein, who is the president of Digital Europe and also of Nokia, CEO of the Nordics and the Benelux. We will listen to the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who has really created this great vision of green and digital strategy and the digital decade. And of course, we will hand out the Unicorn Award 2021 to the most innovative tech scale-up in Europe. We have a great amount of scale-ups in Europe, a lot of innovation, but they struggle to scale. We will support them on their way, and we will see some of the coolest companies in Europe tomorrow. I hope that you will get up in the morning and stay with us all day tomorrow, and that you dream of a stronger digital Europe and becoming a master of digital 2022. Thank you for staying with us today.